Welcome back to this special Sfat episode of Holy Land Uncovered. We're coming at you from Sfat, from the way in, literally. And I'm very happy to be joined now by my friend and wonderful Rabbi Amichai Cohen of livekabbalah.com. Amichai lives here in Sfat, and it's not every day I get to see you. Welcome.
It's so good to see you. Welcome. Welcome to you all. And,
this is a very, very big day, Lag BaOmer, a very important holiday, especially in Kabbalah, and we're living in very interesting times as we speak now. Anyway, let's start by talking about Lag BaOmer and why that is such an important holiday according to Kabbalah.
Yeah, so Lag BaOmer is not an official holiday. It's not one of the biblical holidays. It's not even rabbinic. It's a minhag, which means it's a custom. The custom to celebrate it, and the reason for that celebration is because the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died during this time. They died during this time because of a lack of love that they had for each other. And because of that, there was this epidemic that basically they all died during this short amount of time. And during the day of Lag BaOmer is when they stopped dying. And that's very significant because the energy or the personality of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, what he represents in the book of the Zohar of splendor, is all the message about love and about love for each other and how we need to deepen the interconnection and the communication that we have for one another. And once we do that, then we could have a lot of the, we could say that epidemics and negativity and all those things also stop. So Lag BaOmer is indicative of not only that period of time, but also for us in our lives. And there's never been much more of a important juncture that we're in currently, all of us.
Right, yeah. And I think it's very poignant to say, listen, we've been, obviously the world has gone through a lot. We've had Corona, now we have a war in Ukraine, but we know, we talk about, the sages have said, this is the time of Messiah, Mashiach. Explain how that is so to people that may say, well, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so there's an idea that all of us are collectively connected to each other. So according to Kabbalah, there's the edifice of Adam, where there's souls, and we're called ikvasa de Mashiach, we're called the heel of Mashiach. And basically, once everything comes out, it's now a sign that there's a healing process that's there. And very often in the healing process, before someone gets better, they go through a certain process, and they need to shed and go through uncomfortable places. Darkness. Yeah, exactly. You have to go through that darkness in order to go to the other side. And so although it seems like it's so dark, but we know that right before dawn, there's the darkest time of the night. And that's really where we're at. And it's a question of looking at the darkness and saying there's so much of it, and being fearful and anxious, or saying we're running from it, or being aware of what needs to be done on a personal level, on a healing level.
Right, and putting light on it.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you use the analogy, a dark room, you light one candle and it's light. There's actually more light than dark, but we think there's more dark than light.
Exactly. And you do the job, and I do the job, and he does the job, and all of us do the job. So then we're collectively adding so much more light and positivity to the world, where the news doesn't see that. Right? This news does.
Right. Well, and also news is reactive.
Reactive.
You're seeing the world, you're already reporting on it. You learn this, right? There's reactive and, the cause and the effect. We're reporting on the effect. Yeah. So how do we as a collective humanity, no matter Jewish, not Jewish, religious, not religious, how do we all individually give our best to help bring about this positive change?
So the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote about this in the Zohar, that in the end of days, like right before, or the times that we're living in right now, we're going to need to illuminate. The Zohar, the book of the Zohar, is called the book of illumination because it's about illuminating our mind, our heart, and the level of our action. And how do we do that? When we do that, so then that's the contribution that we could do, that we could bring, because we could only contribute to the extent that we could. We don't have control over what happens in the rest of the world, but we have control over ourselves.
Right.
And once we do have control over ourselves, then collectively something does shift. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the social media and the very technological world that we're like, well, something's going on at the end of the world, and I get paranoid and anxious by it, and realizing that I could sometimes have more of an effect when I positively go inwards in meditation and prayer, in positive thinking, than even reacting to everything that's going on.
Right, and feeling like you're a slave to it, literally.
Yeah.
Right. Also, what did, during the golden age of Sfat, during the time of the Ari, what did he do? What did they do during Lag BaOmer? Now we see in modern Israel, kids, you have bonfires, and that's what people do who live here, not doing the holiday specifically as it was celebrated before. What did Luria do?
So Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Ari, went to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in Meron, spent 3 days there. He went there before and he stayed after, and he basically camped out there. And that's what a lot of people, well, not this year, but that's what a lot of people did do in the past. They camp out there and whatnot to sort of bask in this energy, and very, very powerful energy that's there on the day of a hilula, of a tzaddik. It's explained in Kabbalah that hilula means a wedding, because the soul on the day of the passing rises up to a new level in paradise. So every year on that year, there's an elevation of that soul to an even higher place. And everyone that's connected to that soul also gets that level of elevation. So it's almost like everyone's holding onto the coattails and getting elevated by that.
Let's talk about the tragedy a year ago on Lag BaOmer in Meron, where, again, so many people go there every year, and a tragedy. A lot of people died. You were there. Thank goodness you were okay. But what is it like looking back at a year ago? What happened and where we are now a year later?
Wow, a lot of mixed feelings. I was close up. I thank God I was in a spot, and I felt like this is where I need to be and held in that place. But a lot of things went on there that were really just not understandable.
Still hard to put it into words.
It's hard, and obviously, how did it happen or why did it happen is not, we can't really understand. But in my thoughts, the feelings are that in many ways, people make shrines like the end goal, and they make it like we're going to be there. And meanwhile, they're not realizing that it's all there to bring us somewhere else. So even Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the whole intention is really Jerusalem, is really redemption. It's going beyond living in a constricted, not as holy as it is, but we want to go to the next stage. We want even something higher. And just to, there's an earthquake here in Tzfat, a number of them in 1837, and they say that the great Rabbi of Avrich, who was the chief rabbi, said over here, there's a spiritual reason for it, and the reason is that the Jews that were living over here were a little bit too comfortable, so to speak. They were like, we have a utopian epicenter, and they stopped yearning for Jerusalem. So in his words, Jerusalem was jealous. That's the reason for that earthquake. There's obviously a geological reasons, of course, but there's a spiritual reason. So in a way, like in tombs and spiritual connections that we have, there's something about the connection, but then there's the point of the connection. The point of the connection is to take us to the actual destination and to stay on target with what the end goal is, which is the Geula, which is redemption, which is Jerusalem, which is a unified world, and not just a spiritual hub or epicenter that that one enjoys and has a spiritual high on, which is tremendous. But it's not about that.
More.
It's about going. And it's really doing the work, once again, doing the work of Ahavta l'recha kamocha, loving each other. And it's making space for each other, not pushing each other. And in a way, like the whole idea of pushing each other, that's almost like an analogy, I think, for what we often do.
Rabbi Amichai, thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure.
Happy Lag BaOmer, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Happy Lag BaOmer.
And we will be right back after the break. Please don't go anywhere. We have much more coming at you from Tzfat.